Hello, everyone, and welcome to our virtual vegan spirituality forum and retreat. It's really our pleasure to have you with us today. It's a special opportunity to gather in lieu of our in-person retreat, and we've got a wonderful program for you today. So I'm here with our co-host. This is Lisa Levinson with Vegan Spirituality and the Interfaith Vegan Coalition. We also have Reverend Carol Saunders, and I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Reverend Carol Saunders. I am a co-organizer, and I'm a unity minister and also an interfaith minister. And the idea for this retreat was born in a car. It was born in a car when I was having a conversation with Victoria after she was a guest at my spiritual center. And she just kind of said, wouldn't it be great to have something at Unity Village? And I'm like, yeah, and we picked up on it. And so I called Lisa and Judy, and we've been working on this now for nearly 2 years. I think we started, the idea was born November 2 years ago. So we've been working on this for a while. I guess I'll let Judy go ahead and introduce herself. And then I've got a slide also just to share about what's going to happen. So the agenda, so everybody knows what's going to happen during this hour.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Carol. Yeah, I'm Judy Carmen, and I'm one of the co-organizers. And yeah, we've had quite an adventure because, as all of you know, we were really planning to be at Unity Village right now, today, and listening to Victoria and Will and Lisa Kemmerer and Milton Mills and Keith Akers and, some other wonderful workshop leaders. So disappointing, but we won't give up. We're going to do this next year. Carol's got a few possible dates in October that she'll show us. And I guess Carol's going to kind of give us a rundown on the agenda for today. And well, this will just be an hour. So it's a tiny little snippet of what it would have been, what it will be. So, Carol?
Today, as Judy just mentioned, we're going to be online together for about an hour or so. And I just want to let you know what's going to happen. So we just kind of introduced ourselves, and then we're going to pass it to Victoria, and she's going to give us a short words of wisdom or message or inspiration or just motivating little talk, not giving her full talk like what would be at the event. But we wanted to have at least one of our speakers here today. And then one of the things, I always like to look for the good. And one of the things that is, good about this being deferred till next year is we can now get your input. So we had the whole forum and retreat planned, but we had a few open workshop times maybe, and we thought, well, maybe we'll get your input and see what it is that, you might be interested in learning or hearing. So we wanted to set up some breakout rooms for the purpose of connecting, also for you to meet some of your fellow retreat participants and get to know each other, because one of the core tenets of the retreat is connection and collaboration. And so we just want to give a little connection time. So we have a few questions for you to share and to answer, and then come back from the breakout room and give us the feedback from your breakout. And then we'll end with a guided meditation led by Lisa. I mentioned the retreat dates for next year. They are not finalized, but these are the dates that we are looking at. We still need to finalize these with Unity Village and all of the other engagements that they have going on these weekends. But we're looking at either the last weekend in September 24th through 26th, or the first weekend in October 1st through 3rd. So you may want to just pencil those in, and we'll keep you abreast as we get those finalized.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carol, for giving us the rundown of what we're going to do today. And thanks to everybody for joining us. This is really nice to have this opportunity to be together, even though we're not physically together. Victoria, would you like to share some of your words and wisdom with us?
No, sure. I mostly just want to invite people to my old hometown a year from now, a little more than a year from now. Hi, everybody. I remember well what Carol described. We were in the parking lot of a wonderful woman. You may know her, Kay Saunders. She started the National Vegetarian Museum in Chicago. They've just changed it to the Vegan Museum. And I mean, when an idea starts to pop, it just pops when it's really supposed to happen. And this is definitely one of those, even though we have run into this roadblock. But one of the kind of word studies that has always intrigued me is this idea of facts and truth. And I think that now, in the era of alternative facts, it means more than it ever did that there is this concept of truth. And it's interesting that we're talking about this now because Unity, the organization behind Unity Village, has always been very big about talking about truth with a capital T. Somebody is unmuted, which is hard for me to follow my thoughts. Thank you. And this truth doesn't change. And you can use that word kind of interchangeably with God and love and light and all those wonderful words that can be capitalized. And I think when something comes to you, or when you hear it come from a wonderful friend and colleague, like I heard it coming from Carol, we've heard that phrase, the ring of truth. Well, this conference has that ring of truth. And then some silly old facts got in the way. The facts are what is. The facts are that there is this problem around the globe that has interfered with our personal lives, with our collective conference that we were planning on doing this year. And so we shift. In the business world, everybody's talking pivot. It's like, what are you guys, ballerinas? Everybody's pivot. And yet it's kind of a spiritual exercise, I think, when we can pivot as well. So when I think about Unity Village, I think about a place that just feels to me like all kinds of concentrated God. And I know we all have different words that we use for that. So whatever word you like, concentrated, force be with you, concentrated, love, light, whatever it is. I feel it so strongly there. Now, I know that there is nowhere that God is not. So why do I feel it more in Unity Village than someplace else? I think it's because this was a place that was dedicated from its very inception to being where people of all faiths, even though Unity people think of it as a religion, it's started as Unity School, a place where people of all kinds of faiths would come and be uplifted. And that is, of course, what we're going to do when we go there next fall. When I was a very little girl, I was 5 years old, and I came home from first grade having learned the 4 food groups. And I was very proud of myself because I'd memorized them all. And I recited them to my wonderful, eccentric grandmother-age nanny. And she said, humph. She didn't like the government telling her what to do. She said, humph. There are people who never eat any meat, and they're called vegetarians. And I could take you to a restaurant and get you a burger made out of peanuts, and you'd think you were having beef. It was amazing to me. I mean, this was Kansas City in the 1950s. We were proud of our stockyards, but there was this idea, and there's nothing more powerful than idea that comes to the mind or hits the ears at the right time. So I put that word in my heart, and it has obviously become what my life is centered around today and for many years leading up to today. But that restaurant that she was going to take me to with the peanut burgers was the Unity Inn. Now, even by that time, the inn had shifted. It was no longer 100% vegetarian as it had been in its first 30 years when Unity's headquarters were urban instead of in the country. It was a completely vegetarian restaurant. It was located a little bit outside the central business district. So they would send a van. I heard it was a Rolls-Royce van into the downtown area where people were working, and they would pick them up on 3 different lunchtime shifts, take them to the Unity Inn, and at its height, it was serving 1,900 vegetarian meals a day. We're talking the 1920s in Kansas City, Missouri. So talk about going around and coming around. So some of that was lost, but guess what? It's going around and it's coming around. A lot of you know that I host a podcast on Unity Online Radio. And when they called me shortly after my book, Main Street Vegan, came out back in 2012, they said, do you want to have a radio show? You can call it Main Street Vegan. It's about time we got back to our roots, because the founders of Unity were very vocal vegetarians, as we all know from the wonderful book written by Reverend Saunders. So as we think about coming together next year and right now, and this is a very special kind of coming together, when we talk about kind of concentrated God in some of these holy places or these places of great natural beauty, I think there's some concentrated God on Zoom. I mean, here we are, all these places all over, and we're coming here because we believe in the sanctity of life, because we believe that the great beneficence lives within us and within every being, and we believe that we are here for a purpose. We are interfaith, we are all kinds of different traditions, and yet where we come together is life has purpose. And that purpose is good. We are supposed to be part of what a Unity minister I used to know, Reverend Ernest Wilson, called the upward progression of the universe. And just like the Jains say, you can't be any more upward. You can't relieve yourself of any more negative karma than by being kind, by being vegetarian, by being vegan, by opening up every day to greater and greater compassion. So we have some time ahead of us before we get together in Kansas City. And I have 3 suggestions that we might want to consider holding close to our hearts between now and then maybe we can talk about it when we get there. And the first one is to be vegan in spiritual circles and be spiritual in vegan circles. I know that in vegan spirituality and the Interfaith Vegan Coalition, we talk a lot about trying to get the vegan message into churches and synagogues and temples and mosques and ashrams and all that. And we do need to do that. But I was talking with someone who's very prominent in the vegan movement last week, and she was saying, I'm really spiritual, but I don't talk about it a lot because, people in the activist world just don't think much of that. Well, you know what? Some of us think quite a bit of that, and we need to be 100% who we are. So be vegan in your spiritual life and be spiritual in your vegan life. Only a suggestion. And that comes from me. Now I have 2 that I have borrowed or stolen. This comes from Peace Pilgrim. Wonderful, wonderful vegetarian, nearly vegan teacher of the past century. And she would say, live up to the highest light you have, and more light will be given to you. I can't imagine a better time in history for that message, because we're getting all this information and we don't know where it comes from or what's right or what's wrong or who's giving us information because they're trying to get our information or they're trying to sell us something. It's a really complex time. But Krishnamurti used to say that when you're young on the spiritual path, your choices are very simple, right and wrong, good and bad, nice and clear. And as you get further along, you have to have more discernment because the choices get a little bit more complicated. So instead of pulling our hair out and saying, I don't know what to believe, just know, okay, we're growing, we're getting along here, and we're having to have a little bit more discernment, which is pretty cool, knowing that that truth with the capital T lives right here in our hearts. Finally, 3rd suggestion before we're together next year, this one I've stolen from the 12-step programs, and that is lead by attraction rather than promotion. So what does that mean? It means that we're not just shoving all this stuff down anybody's throat, but we are living well. We are living up to our expectations for ourselves. We bring the best dishes to the potluck. We answer questions respectfully, and we kind of hold back a little bit. When I was 18 years old, I moved to London and I discovered the Society of Friends, the Quakers. I love this. I had come home. They were pacifists. They cared about everything. And they didn't even believe that you needed an intermediary to the higher power. So everybody would sit in Quaker meeting. And then when someone felt that spirit of God coming over them, they would speak. I wanted to be a Quaker. I was ready to join. I was 18. You could join and be 18. And I remember going in for the meeting and the gentleman saying, why don't you wait a while? Why don't you learn a little more, live a little more, and then see if this is for you? I was devastated, and I didn't want anything more in my life than to be a Quaker. And I wonder if maybe we could use a little bit of that on the vegan thing. Instead of like, you got to do this, you got to save the planet, the animals are suffering, do it, do it, do it. Maybe we need to say, yeah, works for me. I really believe in this. Maybe someday you'll want to think some more about it. Not the only way to do activism, but maybe a little reverse psychology might work sometimes. I think that right now people feel like they've given up a lot and they don't want to give up anything more. But if we can show them by the way that we live, by this attraction activism, that this is the best darn way to live your life, then amazing things can happen. So in the Jewish tradition, at the end of Passover, it is said, next year in Jerusalem. So to all of us, next year at Unity Village. God bless.
Thank you so much, Victoria. That was very inspirational, and I'm hoping that everyone who's with us and watching this will get inspired to join us next year in the in-person retreat where we can have more of what Victoria has just shared. So we're very excited. And then now I think we're going to transition into the next part of our program. Carol, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I do want to say a couple of things. Thank you, Victoria, because I'm getting really a lot more excited about getting together next year. I have been told by the, I'm kind of the liaison between the Unity Village and our group here, and they have told me that they have a new vegan chef, which I think is really exciting. I don't know if the person is a vegan chef or a vegan chef. But it sounds like they're more adept at vegan food than any other chef in the last maybe 20 years. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm thinking of maybe driving to Unity Village and kind of checking out, what they can do for us to see whether or not we really need to hire somebody outside to create recipes or not. But I think that's a huge, huge step. They're just getting ready for us. They're getting ready for us. We're gonna go in there and just kind of, the energy there is already, if you've never been to Unity Village, you may not know, but the energy is very, very, very high energy. There's been praying going on there for 125 years. You can just feel it. It's even a little hard to sleep just because it's such light, positive, happy energy. But we're going to go in there and we're going to shift it even more. I can feel it. I know we are. Okay, so Lisa, if you make me the host, then I can do the breakout rooms. I am going to, while she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and screen share so you can see what we're trying to accomplish in these breakout rooms. Please don't get nervous about this, guys. This is just about a way of connecting.
And we're going to actually transition off of our Facebook Live, so thanks to anybody who's been joining us there. And just wanted to let you know and give you a little piece of what we're doing today, and we hope that you'll join us at the actual retreat. Take care. Mm-hmm.
Signing off. Okay, so we're just going to go into these breakout rooms for like 15 minutes. I think we'll have 4 people in them. First thing, just select somebody who's going to just write stuff down and who will be willing to communicate back. We'd like for each of you to just introduce yourself, your name, and either where you're sitting now or where you live, where you're coming from. Share about the animals in your life or your spirit animal. Most of us have animals in our lives. Then we have a couple questions. What interested you about the vegan spirituality forum and retreat at Unity Village? And I mentioned earlier that we do have a couple workshops planned, and we're interested in your feedback. So if you can think of like, what would you really want to walk away with? Any skills or any ideas or anything, maybe it's just fellowship. But anyway, what workshop topic would support you the most and for us to address at the retreat? And what do you most want to get out of the retreat? So those are our questions. Now I'll go ahead and try to copy these and I'll put them in the comment section. But if you can get a few of you to either write it down or take a little picture on your phone, and then when we go off screen sharing, I will put it in the comment section. But I don't know if you can see the comment section when you're in the group. Can you, when you're in groups? I just don't know. So
You could experiment. You could keep the chat box open. It's possible you'd be able to do
the
that.
chat box. Okay. All right. We'll see how that goes. Okay. So I'll just take a couple seconds here so you can take a picture or something or write a few things down, and then I'll stop sharing in a couple seconds. Sorry. So again, don't get uptight about this. The purpose of this is just to connect and meet some people who are you going to be with next year. So it's kind of exciting to be together. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. All right. Now I'm going to put, let me see, who do we have now? I'm going to put in groups of 4. And there might be a few with that have groups of 3, but 4 rooms. Okay, so Lisa and Judy and Victoria, you guys okay being in a group? Okay, great. So I'm going to send you out there, and then I'll send you a message when you have like 1 or 2 minutes before you need to wrap up. Okay? Any questions?
How long will we have total in our group?
Good question. Thinking 15 minutes. So that kind of gives you, a chance to figure out, 3 or 4 minutes a person. All right.
Can you read the questions out loud just so we have them fresh in our mind before we go into our group?
Mm-hmm. Select a scribe. Introduce yourself. Share about the animals in your life or your spirit animal. What interested you about the Vegan Spirituality Forum and Retreat? What workshop topic or support would you most like to have addressed during the retreat? And what do you most want to get out of the retreat? All right, I think we're good. All right. Be free, have fun. All right, so thank you all for doing that. Can we just kind of spend just a few minutes getting everyone's feedback? If you had something that you wanted to talk about, like breakout group 1, which was Jenny and Kate and Keith and Tammy.
Yeah. Hey, I was our scribe, and we had a lot of ideas. Everyone, it was lovely. First of all, one idea was to have maybe some more learning about the Fillmores.
Okay.
Also, maybe some, just like we did in our breakout groups, maybe we break out the attendees of the conference into groups that have a spiritual group that they belong to, like Buddhists or Jewish, and that within those groups we can address how the needs of vegans are or are not being served, or just having the retreat itself serve those groups in the fact that they're vegan within a group that maybe isn't really vegan, that isn't practicing veganism as part of their spiritual practice.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we felt people would need is, because we all need it, how do we bring this message into our faith communities?
So maybe that would be that. Also, how to live with an open heart 100% of the time without difficulty, like how to make that less effortful in today's day and age, to be heart open, like practices and techniques of heart opening. We would love to have Keith have an opportunity to present his book and learn more about the lost religion
Yes.
of Jesus.
Yeah, he's there. Yep, good.
Okay, great. Also, Thich Nhat Hanh is doing a program where he's asking people to be vegan 50% of the time, 2 weeks out of 4 weeks each month. To learn more about that or how to share about that. I did a group once called Your Sacred Gifts. And maybe there's a time and space to do a sacred gifts workshop where you learn what your sacred gifts are and therefore can maybe be more effective with whatever messaging or way of being you want to be with other people, your sacred gifts. I think that program, by the way, comes from the Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic, but somewhere in my mind that came from.
So
Yeah,
just as a
Catholic.
clarification, that's so the Sacred Gifts workshop, but this is like and how you would apply that to being a messenger of
Correct.
vegan
Yeah,
spirituality.
you may find out that your top sacred gift is hospitality. So that means you should be having dinners or hosting people or doing things. And one of my sacred gifts is teaching. So really what I'm doing right now, teaching you guys what I learned from my group, learning and teaching, like learning something, then teaching it. So those are just 3 examples of, there's like 20 to 25 sacred gifts. It's a really fun program. And
Great.
I would love to do the program again with vegans.
Great.
Okay. And then last but not least, 3 more things, some intentional silence, exposure to interfaith, like being interfaith, and then possibly a time slot for there to be an event. If most of us in our group had family or friends in the area that were part of our desire to come to Unity Village so that we could tag on visiting our daughter, our mother, our brother, our sister, our cousin, maybe the event itself could have an invitational dinner or potluck or picnic or sack race that we can invite our friend, not as a recruiting tool, but maybe kind of a little bit
Not as a recruiting tool, but maybe.
But maybe a little bit, hey, Mom, come out to Unity Village. You're not going to the retreat for 3 days, but, come and have lunch with us, or, come hear the keynote speaker and dinner and a keynote speaker. Can you tell I'm an event planner? I'm done.
Great. Those are great. Thanks. I've got them all down. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, those are great ideas.
Yeah. Okay, Breakout Room 2. Craig did not join, so it was just Lisa and Nancy. So Lisa, who wants to talk for there?
I think I wrote some notes down, so I can go ahead and do that. So we actually had the idea of doing some kind of workshop that was about, you could call it gentle or imperfect veganism, where there's an opportunity to talk about some of the issues that are a struggle or that might be inherent in being during this massive transition time. We might have some parts of our lives that are not, perfectly vegan, such as maybe we have animals that are not vegan, or maybe we have, animal companions, or perhaps we have like garments that we've had before that weren't vegan. Rather than tossing everything out, how can we in a way, this is like embracing this idea of veganism that is, you could think of it as either imperfect or gentle or soft or welcoming in some way, where people can still know that they don't have to be perfectly vegan and 100% to be able to be part of the vegan movement, and that we're in a transition time. So this might appeal to people who are new to veganism. And it could be in 2 separate types of workshops, one about this imperfect vegan idea and the other one about what do we do with our products that were not vegan. Such as if you happen to have a leather jacket and you don't want to throw it out, you could have a patch that says, "My last leather jacket." That was Nancy's idea, which I think is really wonderful. So
I'm also just trying to relate this to like spirituality, because I can also see that there's stuff that, there's inner conversation we have about ourselves about not being perfect that,
Yes.
we could also support people spiritually. And how to love ourselves through the transition and to, becoming the best person we can be. I could see that also as part of it.
Could I
Oh,
just
yeah.
jump in? That I think there's also this new idea that we have to do everything, and most of these things are good, like not using plastic and so much. But to have all that, to have people think they have to incorporate every good thing on earth to be a vegan in good standing, it's just a
Like
lot.
it's too much. Yeah, it's too much,
Yeah.
so they give up. Yeah. Okay,
Can I
great.
add something really quick? I wanted to add that my thought about that was because of what's practical and because we want to help as many people, and we're having up like mainstream status quo people now. We want to help as many people to stop eating animals as quickly as possible. And if we put too much weight on that, now you have to do this and now you have to give up that, throw away all your clothes and buy new things and don't do this and don't do that, it's going to just short circuit people out, and it's not possible. It's not even doable. As practical as, as far as is possible and practical, there aren't even enough vegan leather shoes. There isn't enough vegan this and vegan that yet for everybody to do that. And we don't want to promote consumerism, to go out and buy a whole bunch of new stuff and spend all this money when a lot of people are hurting,
Okay,
struggling.
I think we got that. Great, thanks. Lisa, did you have your hand up?
Well, yeah, this is kind of feeling like a time to chime in a little bit. I'm here because I know Will Tuttle, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist who's always been about the relationship between spirituality and nutrition, and then it became veganized. And, I really just want to support, and I feel like I have some interesting roots with you guys, oddly enough. But I actually trademarked the term imperfectly vegan.
Yeah.
And I've got this book, and I'm working on a cookbook called Imperfectly Vegan. And, I put a lot of thought into that title. And, maybe that's a place where I could support is, it seems like
great.
a perfect and perfectly fit, because I go through all of that. And really in the book, The Sacred Art of Eating, it's set up to be like a dinner party. And the first chapter is called The Invitation, to kind of mimic this idea of co-creation, that, it's a participatory relationship that we have with the divine. And so it's an invitation for everyone to be imperfectly vegan. It goes on and on. But anyway, just to throw that out to you while we're on the topic.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And so I think we're getting some really good ideas, and I'm starting to be kind of happy that we have another year to kind of incorporate these ideas. I do want to say this. I have a possible vision of doing this annually at Unity Village. That doesn't mean that it's going to be the same thing, but whatever we don't get done this year, we can also do another year. But these are great, great, great ideas. So we've got some really good resources. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Nancy. I just want to make sure that we have time for the Breakout Room 3 and 4. Breakout Room 3 was Vince and Victoria. Did you guys have something you wanted to add?
Yes. So Vince's interest in this was the lack of vegan narrative in churches in general, and often a very opposite negative. And what he wants out of the retreat is to connect with suggestions to use at his church and to take out into other churches in Kansas City. And one of the things we were thinking about, and I know there are some things like this, but we had this idea of a very polished resource so that we can push this idea that this is something that every religious institution needs to look at. They don't have to promote it, but just like all these other social issues, this one needs to be there. And let's see. And Vince also has another vegan in his church. So we were talking about what they might be able to do together. And something that that I thought of, if we did a kind of workshop about taking this into churches, the idea of treating everybody like they are a vegan or potentially vegan. Because I know when I've gone to evangelical churches, nobody has ever said to me, you just don't look like, the born again type. Or, I mean, they welcome me in with this gift that I'm free to take or not take. And I just feel like if there's a way that we could communicate that about veganism, like this is how the world is going, here's how we can help you, and not shut anybody out. So Vince, can you finish up and be less rambly than me?
Vince, you're muted.
I think you hit on everything, Victoria. I have nothing to add. We just gotta make it happen. And I think this forum will be like a great place to like kind of flush some things out and get strategic, and then get a really good plan together. Like Victoria said, have something really polished and just, if we try to convince everybody to be vegan on the spot, it's going to be too much and they're going to reject it. But just there's so many holes in the, God gave us animals for food narrative, and it's all about us and not about them. But if you look at the Bible comprehensively, then within the context of Jesus and within the context of the larger universe, all of the metaphors that are connected, that run through all that, like I don't think it's at all unorthodox to question that narrative. And so how do we do that? And then along with that, make sure everybody has resources. And then maybe along with that, Thomas Wade Jackson's initiative with the Compassionate Living Circles, maybe there's that program, maybe that ends up working in conjunction with that, so we can plant people in the churches, or at least in Kansas City, I can help develop CLCs in all of those churches after we get our shiny presentation together, and also use Thomas's documentary as a tool. There's so many ways we can run with this that my brain starts going so many different directions. So it's like we got to focus it. And that's what I need help with, because I just have like 50 ideas and they're just out there. But there's got to be a way to do it. There has to be a way.
Yeah, and I think, this is what's going to be so fun about us getting together next year, because it's not just going to be about us sitting around listening to this wonderful speakers, wonderful workshops and all of that, but really get together and collaborate and create something out of this. We're going to be able to do that. Great. I do want to hear from the last, I know we're going over time, but we started late. Diane, Judy, Lisa, and William, your group.
Do you want to do it, Judy, or you want me to?
Well, we can kind of do it together. I'll if you fill in where I miss things. I think as far as what attracted us to coming to the event is being able to be with vegans who are also on a spiritual path. That's so important to so many of us. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there who really need that, like I did when I met Lisa Levinson. So that's a big part of it that Diane mentioned. And Diane suggested that we maybe should look at the divisions in the vegan movement and maybe have a workshop on that. How can we heal those divisions? And obviously that's a spiritual part of the spiritual practice, is to do that kind of healing. And now more than ever, I think we're seeing more divisiveness and anger. And so I think that would be really good. And that was Diane's idea. And then Lisa was talking about the same thing. You were too, Lisa, healing the divisions. And she was explaining, like she did a minute ago, about her books and how great they would fit in as a workshop. And I think that would be really, really good. The Sacred Art of Eating, and the way she weaves nutrition in with spirituality. So Lisa, what did I miss?
I think you actually did a great job of hitting on that. We spent a lot of time talking about animals.
Yeah, and we didn't give William any time at all. So, but he said he was going to be there to move chairs for us. So,
Yeah.
But William, as everybody knows, I think now is studying to be a minister in interfaith. And so I'm sure, William, your wisdom is going to be very valuable as we share together and collaborate. So,
You know, I think
that
one thing that Diane did mention was that she also wanted to find ways, or maybe this was you, to reach people. I think that was Diane, how to reach out to the ministry.
Right.
Especially the pastors, especially, and then the advocates, and how to actually reach out to them. And
Are you talking about reaching out to your own minister or like ministers in the world?
I think, was that you, Diane, or who's talking about that?
I'm not sure which of us it was, but
that was Judy, actually, just talking about how to reach out, especially to ministers and activists, just the
right, yeah.
How you can reach out to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think it can apply generally to, all the different religions and people of faith, but also specifically, like Vince is talking about, what, some real specific ideas about how to reach out to his specific church. And so, I think there's a lot we can do there. And I think that's certainly a big part of what we're wanting to help a lot of these ministers and other people who attend to do.
So I do have one tiny little suggestion.
Okay.
If I may. So I'm really, I think everybody on this call, I'm really about the animals. And when I am ordained at One Spirit in June, it's my intention to pretty immediately enroll in the Emerson Theological Institute and obtain my animal chaplaincy certificate. And I'm also about halfway through my animal Reiki master certification.
Oh, cool.
And that's how my practice is going to be oriented, is towards the spiritual side of animals. And I found, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I found that I can actually connect with animals easier than I can with humans. I said, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's just how it is. So maybe sometime at this, in between when I'm moving chairs and stuff, maybe somebody can just talk about, the soul of animals and the spiritual side of animals, because I firmly believe they have a soul. I suppose everybody on this call agrees with that, but certainly not everybody in the world. And, the spirituality of animals, we might be able to address that somehow.
Great. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your ideas. I took notes. And William, I'm hoping, I was at One Spirit 10 years ago. I think I was maybe the only vegan there 10 years ago. So hopefully.
Well, there's about 3 of us now.
There should be a whole room full.
Yeah, there should be.
By now.
Yeah.
That's actually another workshop topic. I mean, I know this is a 3-day conference, not, a month, but that part of spirituality that tends to be, open-minded generally, the kind of new age, for lack of a better term. In my experience, that's the hardest group to reach with veganism. And maybe there could be just something like a panel, like how to reach evangelicals, how to reach New Agers, how to reach whoever else somebody thinks is, difficult to reach. But just these, when you think about One Spirit and you think about, all these amazing spiritual teachers with their wonderful books, and that most of them aren't even vegetarian, there's got to be some kind of unlocking that we can do there, and maybe we can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, if we can't have a workshop on it, maybe we start creating it, Yeah. Okay, I just I just want to pass it to Lisa. I want to make sure that we're mindful of time. I'd love to sit and talk for another hour, but I want to be mindful of time. I do have one thing, one more screen share. Just to make sure that you guys know where we are. And I'm not sure it's sharing.
It is.
It is? Okay. There we go. Okay, this is our contact information. So if you have anything else that you want to talk through or talk to us about, you can connect with Lisa. This is her. You can see all of you. Take a screenshot of this, Judy or me, and these are our websites, our and emails. And Lisa, do you want to do the closing now?
Sure. Well, this has really been such an honor to hear from everyone. I think that's the most exciting thing about having this gathering today. And also just to put out there the whole idea of starting vegan spirituality, which I started many years ago in like 2009 maybe, was to address this connection between veganism and spirituality. I love the assignment that you gave us, Victoria, at the beginning to look at the connection between those two words. And also, this is another platform that we could reach out to the spiritual community who is not too connected to a specific tradition, to try to find a niche for them as well. So I think we'll do our meditation. We're going to do a meditation as our ritual today. And I was thrilled to hear that William mentioned, and others as well, that you talked a lot about animals during your breakout sessions, because that's part of why we're all connected, is we're connected through our love and compassion for other animals, other sentient beings. So for now, I'll go ahead and just put it on our little group view so we can just be together in this moment. And first, just to take a couple of deep breaths. That's a great way to be connected to everything, actually, everyone. We all share the oxygen on our planet, so we're sharing this breath together. So as you breathe in, breathing into your heart, and then exhaling and releasing, letting go, kind of sinking in to the seat where you're sitting. And then as you breathe in, breathe back into your heart. We're going to generate some energy in our heart today. Inhaling, and then even try exhaling through the heart, just as a practice. And we'll do another inhaling through the heart. And just imagine that as you're doing that, you can feel this heart the energy there is growing. There's a light in there. And then as you exhale, you send out some of that light. And breathing it back in, cultivating that love. And then as you exhale, sharing that love. So what we're doing, and as you continue breathing, it's a practice of giving and receiving with each breath. So what I'd like you to do is, as we're doing this breathing, and just let the breathing happen, being aware of this idea of breathing in and breathing out as giving and receiving, I'd like you to take a moment and think of an animal who may be suffering right now. This animal could be one that you know. It could be an animal that you've seen in an image recently, but just someone who touched your heart, and that this animal is suffering. So as you continue with this breathing into your heart, when you exhale, send that love to this animal. You can imagine this love that is being shared with this animal that you're giving. It could be a color, it could be a temperature, it could have a sensibility to it. So as you're inhaling and exhaling, you're giving out this love, you're embracing this being, telling this being in a feeling sense how much you care, and providing that support and that love that you would do if you were right there in that moment. So just take a moment and experience that. And as you're giving, even notice if there's a response from that animal. Maybe in your moment with them, the sacred moment, you can even notice how this is impacting them, this loving, giving energy. And then take a moment and thank this animal for this interaction in whatever way. Perhaps it's a connection, hand to paw, or however, or maybe it's eye to eye. And then come back to the breathing, breathing in and out, letting that image of that animal dissipate. And then as you connect in with the breathing in and out through your heart, now this time we're going to imagine an animal who who's giving to you and you are receiving. Now it could be the same animal, or it could be another animal that's joyous, that is embodying love to you, and that is sending it to you, sending this love. So in this time, it's the inhale, it's the breathing in that love that you're receiving from this animal who is grateful and joyful and happy and sending you this healing, loving vibration that is just beaming all over your body, through every cell in your body, and is giving you this incredible energy of restoration, of vitality, of happiness. And take a moment just to feel that as you breathe. And noticing the connection that you have with that animal who's just giving to you, and you have nothing to do but receive. Just completely surrender into receiving. And then finding a way to thank this wonderful being who's given so much to you, with maybe it's a look, maybe it's a touch, or maybe it's just simply being together for another moment. And then allowing that animal, their image, to slowly dissipate as you come back to that rhythmic breathing in your heart. Breathing in and breathing out. As you breathe in, receiving, and as you exhale, giving. Receiving and giving. And then just bring your hands to your heart to connect there. And as you inhale, lift your hands a bit. And as you exhale, just let them sink into your heart. And we'll do a couple breaths that way before we close. Breathing in, the hands float above the heart. And exhale, the hands sink into the heart. And one more time, breathing in, the hands float. And then exhaling, the hands sink to fully receive. And then allow your arms to float down into your lap, and very gently begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, and slowly begin to open your eyes if they were closed, and we'll join each other into this beautiful space that we've created together. This is a technique, and it's a gift as well that you can practice whenever your heart is in need of some kind of restoration, to know that we can always give that love, and we can always receive that love. And that's part of our connection to the animals, and part of our connection to one another.
It's beautiful, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was so nice, Lisa. Thank you.
So we will we captured all these ideas. We'll get back together. We'll keep working on it. I'm going to meet the new vegan chef, and we're just going to have an amazing program next year. So really excited that everybody came and spread the word. We can have lots of people there, and it's going to be about a lot of collaboration and connection and these rituals like Lisa just did. And I think it's just going to be amazing.
Yes, thank you to everyone. It's really been such a pleasure to be together during this time and to kind of get to know one another as well. That's part of what we're going to do at this retreat is we're going to leave with deep friendships with people who have a similar perspective and to make that connection with one another.
Thank you, everybody, so much. I've got a back end at 4:30, so I've got to go. I'm so excited to meet everybody. Really, so excited. Okay, namaste. Love you all.
Namaste, vegan. Bye. Bye, Carol. And thank you. And then just to be respectful of everyone's time, Greg, if you have something you'd like to share, let's do that. Let's take another couple minutes. Maybe we'll complete our group within 5 minutes because everyone probably has places to go.
Sure, I'll try to be very quick. I want to actually commend Vince on his decrying the lack of vegan narrative in the churches, and Victoria, who started off with truth with a capital T. I'm all for that. And I just have this thought that as a vegan myself, and I'm sitting here, I'm sorry I'm so technologically challenged, I couldn't get the camera to work, but got my vegan shirt on, my PETA hat on, I'm an ardent animal advocacy activist. And the thing I think we should consider going forward is, because it's complicated. Think about it. Since the idea of veganism was coined really by Mr. Watson in the 1940s, we've been at this over 75 years. And I'm not trying to denigrate the progress, but honestly, if to use Victoria's word, truth with a capital T, we're not progressing very quickly, and it's a numbers thing. The fact is that about 97% of the US population is born non-vegan. And with every new human that's born, there's about a 97% chance that person won't be a vegan. So as you guys were getting at, you can't really sell veganism necessarily and promote that and cause people to change in any significant way and stay there, to stay a vegan. I mean, I'm glad we all have, and we have our reasons, but we know it's an uphill struggle to get others to join us and stay there. So to cut to the chase, what I mentioned in that newsletter that Lisa was nice enough to put in, and what we've been conversing about is what is a simple thing we could all do that everybody would agree with, that's so simple we haven't even thought about using it. And it's religious and spiritual. It goes to over 5 billion people. It's in their mentality. It's in 2 billion Christians, right? In the Christian religious world alone, 5 billion globally. And what that is everybody knows, it's the golden rule. But the old golden rule is just too simple, right? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Well, others should include all others, all animals, all sentient beings. So if you look into the newsletter that Interfaith at IDA USA put out this month, what I'm proposing is that we can go to anybody, anywhere with a non-vegan message. That's the point. We're not espousing veganism. We're espousing the more contemporary version of the golden rule, which applies to everybody everywhere. So the version I'm proposing that the Interfaith Vegan Coalition and others adopt is elegantly simple. There's just 2 lines to it, but it goes way beyond the original. The first line is do for all others, both directly and indirectly, what you would want done for you. The second is don't do to any others, either directly or indirectly, what you wouldn't want done to you. Now, if that becomes the talking point, everybody who professes to believe that, and every religious or spiritual person should, honestly, because it goes to all the isms, the speciesism, racism, everything. You know, this golden rule embraces everything. So if that becomes our focal point, and we take that to church, Vince, and all of us, and talk that, as our common theme, the thing we all humanity could, should, does have in common, over 5 billion people, which is, that's where the numbers are. That's how we move the needle. I'll get off the soapbox here, but I think that's the only potential big way we could move ahead, because we, for 75 years, been trying to do it. Respectfully, you guys are, I love you people. You're trying hard, but we're just not succeeding. It's because the 97% versus 3% factor is against us. So what's with us? The golden rule. So think about that. Maybe that's part of the retreat. I'd like to see this thing go universal and we all start talking the expanded version of the golden rule. It's higher and better, and nobody could really, say, no, that's no good. That it's all good. I'll stop there.
Well, thank you so much, Craig, for sharing your thoughts on that. And maybe in the chat box, if you'd be willing to put your information, people who are curious about to hear more of what you're saying might be able to get in touch with you.
Sure.
And if you got our newsletter, as he mentioned, for the Interfaith Vegan Coalition, we did do a little article, but Craig has more that he could share with you as well on the topic. So thank you for sharing that with us. And Judy, do you have any other things you'd like to say before we close out?
I'm just so thrilled that we all got together. It's so wonderful to see everybody's faces, and wish we could all hug each other, but this is the next best thing. And being able to see our faces is really wonderful. Sorry we can't see yours, Craig, but yeah, it's we can hear your voice, and that's really important. So thank you all for coming. It just means so much to us, and I think our event's going to be even better than it was going to be now, because we've got some of your great ideas. So thank you.
Yes, we really appreciate it. Please spread the word, tell your friends, invite people to it. Hopefully we'll have a wonderful gathering, and that we'll also be able to be close emotionally, but also physically, that we'll have that benefit of being safe, but also being connected. And we really look forward to it. Keep sharing your ideas with us. Send them along, and we'll keep in touch with you as well. And meanwhile, we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day today and the weekend, and just know that we're all spent this wonderful time being together, and that will uplift all of us. So thank you. Sometimes we end our Interfaith Vegan Coalition meetings with this little hand posture, and it's opening for vegan, but the idea is namaste vegan, we usually say, which is a nice little visual that goes along with just sharing the vegan message. So may you continue sharing it with all those that you come into contact with. And thank you, Victoria, so much for inspiring us. That was
Thanks for asking.
Perfect.
I just love that, and I'm so glad we got to share that live. So thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing more from Keith as well, and from all of these great people who are joining us. I can see all these workshops going on at the retreat. So This is definitely an excellent core group. Thank you. Many blessings to everyone.
Okay.
Good night, all. Namaste.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.